this afternoon, as we have had opportunity to be reminded of so many things that happened now, a long time ago, through the video and the memories of our couple here on the platform. But we do not have to travel very far today to hear and understand how the war in Europe was fought and won. Brigadier General Felix L. Sparks, an infantry officer, lives here in Lakewood. He and his soldiers of the 157th Infantry Regiment liberated Dachau on the morning of April 29, 1945. General Sparks is also a retired justice of the Colorado Supreme Court, and the combat general has a very special friend and guest to introduce to you today. Would you please join me in giving a great Denver First Church welcome to Brigadier General Felix L. Sparks and Mr. Jack Goldman.
Well, you heard me this afternoon, those of you here. I'm going to follow up just a little bit on why the war was fought and some of the rewards that came out of that war. I have with me this evening a very special guest, and I'll tell you a little bit about him later. But I first want to tell you about the circumstances in which I found him. In the closing days of World War II, I received an order one morning to proceed to take the concentration camp of Dachau. I, at that time, was a battalion I was a colonel, a battalion commander. I'd never heard of concentration camps, nor had either any of my soldiers. In any event, in response to the order, I found that the concentration camp was in my zone of action and was about 10 miles from Munich, Germany, which was our main objective. I was on the Sunday morning, April 29th. As I proceeded into that camp, we first encountered a train or a long string of boxcars and other type railway cars loaded with human bodies, several hundred of them, all of whom were dead. All had been enclosed in these boxcars and moved from another concentration camp, and they had died from lack of food and water. This enraged my soldiers. We were used to death. We had fought for 2 long years in combat, starting from the shores of North Africa to Sicily, to Italy, to Rome, then into France and Germany. So we were used to death. Death was our constant companion. But as we proceeded on into the concentration camp, we came across a large barbed wire enclosure. We eliminated most of the German guards who were guarding the camp, although we found out that the commanding officer, an SS officer by the name of Colonel Martin Weiss, and most of his officers departed the camp about 2 days before our arrival. I can see that they did not anticipate our coming. In any event, as we checked the camp, we found about 32,000 people still alive in the camp, but all just skin and bones, extremely emaciated, suffering from typhus, dysentery, and other diseases. And they were dying almost hourly as we arrived there. We found a crematorium stacked with human bodies, naked human bodies, in the process of being burned. We found hundreds of others dead in and around the camp, a total of about 9,000 dead bodies in various stages of decomposition. My soldiers, many cried, some cursed, and some were silent. We could not comprehend the inhumane treatment that those innocent people had received. In any event, we immediately called for medical assistance, and within 48 hours, 2 Army hospitals arrived and took over the care and feeding of the prisoners. They were mostly men. And you have to understand something about, as I get to the reason why Jack is here, you have to understand the selection system that the Germans practiced in the concentration camps. As people arrived in the camp, Jewish people and others as well, they were selectively separated. The children were separated immediately and executed. There were no children in any concentration camps in Germany when the war was over. The women, for the most part, were also immediately executed. Some men survived, and they were mostly teenagers and men of up to about 40 years of age that the Germans felt that they could get labor out of. And the German economy was sustained almost entirely by slave labor during the war. Well, the outcome of that was, for the first time, we felt there was a compelling reason for the American Army to be in Germany at that point. We knew we were protecting the American civilization, but we never dreamed of the other effects that we would have in liberating innocent people from terrible deaths. So we suddenly felt a great sense of satisfaction that we had arrived to liberate these 30-some-odd thousand people. And we suddenly saw a reason for the war. I might add that we could not handle all of the bodies that we had to bury, so we impressed the good citizens of the city of Dachau into service to help us bury the 9,000 dead. This we did by simply digging deep trenches and having mass burials. We then, after the war, collected all the SS officers we could find in Germany and put them in Dachau and separated them for possible trial, war crime trials. And Colonel Martin Weiss was apprehended and executed as a result of the Nuremberg trials. But in that operation, here's a man who was one of those prisoners. At age 16, this is Jack Goldman. At age 16, he was taken from his home along with his parents, put in a concentration camp. His only crime was that he was Jewish. At age 16, he was spared. His age served him well. He was served and placed in a labor camp. And on April 29th, we were able to liberate him. On that same day, simply by coincidence, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker in Berlin. And a few days after that, the war was over. Well, I've had the opportunity to meet Jack again after these many years, some years ago, when I started meeting survivors of the Holocaust. And I ran into Jack, and we've been good friends ever since. As a matter of fact, we went to Germany together here a few years ago. 1993, Jack tells me. And Jack, I'm getting old, you know. After all, I was 50 years ago. Anyway, in Germany, Jack pointed out to me a little town that he said that I used to ride my bicycle around in this area. And then we went on to the concentration camp at Dachau and visited that grim facility. There's one unusual thing about this man. He migrated to the United States after the liberation and joined the United States Army and served in the Korean War. So he's the only survivor of the Holocaust that I know of who became an American soldier, and he's not only a survivor, he's an American veteran. So, Jack Goldman. Well, I want to close here by saying that, I have attended many ceremonies over the years in the various positions I've had and some honoring veterans. Never in my 83 years old, which I am now, have I seen such a ceremony as this. This boggles my mind. The beautiful church, the tremendous effort and work that has gone into making this thing possible. It's unbelievable. I doubt if there's another commemoration of veterans anywhere in the United States that can equal this. And all of us veterans who are here deeply appreciate your kindness and your tremendous thoughts and effort.
General Sparks, we are so happy to have you here today with us, and I would like to make a presentation to you. This is sculpture that was done by one of our own church members, and it's called Tears from a Grateful Heart. And on behalf of a grateful church, Denver First Church, and a grateful nation, we'd like to present this to you today.
I have met Felix Sparks about 18 years ago when we had a program, and it still is going on every year, and it's sponsored by the Anti-Defamation League, and invitations go out under the signature of the sitting governor. That particular time, we honored the liberators that we could find in this particular area, and we showed our appreciation. As you can imagine, I could stand here or sit at my age right now at least 2 hours and tell you about Nazi atrocities, man's inhumanity to man, but you don't want to sit through that for 2 hours. Where this is very, very important is in the face of the deniers that are now cropping up all over. One of the most prominent ones right now is Professor Irving in England, who lost the case. of denying that the Holocaust did not happen. And before him were the Professor Butts of Northwestern University. And Butts, for instance, was a electrical engineer. Had nothing to do with history or whatever, yet he denied it. In any case, I would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you to all of those who risked their lives, who saved our lives, and who saved freedom. And if we can learn a lesson from this, is don't let prejudice or hatred get the upper hand. Thank you very much.